Mahler had a very particular relationship with text. A lot of his instrumental music is based on German language poetry, and some of the songs form the basis for symphonic movements in his early symphonies especially. He never went into opera itself, which is very interesting because he was the most celebrated opera conductor of his day and knew voices extremely well. He knew how opera worked as an art form, and yet he didn't want to write one. The Mahler works in the season are very typical examples of how Mahler approaches the text first in a song form, and then the song form kind of gets expanded into something which is larger, and in some cases the song itself is being eradicated out of the picture, and the music becomes instrumental music and the text is gone. The so-called Humoresken are pretty much identical with the Des Knaben Wunderhorn collection, but it wasn't called that in 1899 when he put that first collection together. The poetry is really quite haunting. It just deals with the everyday life of the little people. A young lad who is trying to figure out what to do with his life. A young soldier trying to stay awake in the middle of the night when it's his turn to be on guard. And these people, because they live in these sort of very contained environments, so the little problems they have, they become universal. If this apprentice chap has a big crush on a girl who is going to marry another guy, okay, he may be like 17 years old, but that's where his life ends. He's devastated. There is no tomorrow. And of course, from the perspective of a few decades later, this is just one of those things that happens, but at that moment, it feels like the end of the world. And so those texts are very sort of potent for music, because in a very short space of time you can express very extreme emotions. In the Humoresken, Mahler goes somehow into the minds of all these people. Some of them are kind of funny, sung in some kind of thick dialect from the Rhineland or something like that. And some of them are deeply tragic, highly emotionally charged. Some of them are parodies. So it's a very rich collection of songs, a very rich collection of feelings and moods. And it's early Mahler. What makes it fascinating is that everything he was to become is there already in embryonic form. He developed, obviously, but the hardcore of who he was there already. Some of these Des Knaben Wunderhorn songs end up in his instrumental music. Perhaps most notably the first movement of the first symphony is a take on a Des Knaben Wunderhorn song that Mahler actually put together himself from source material. So it's a kind of hybrid. But all of the first movement deals with the material from that song that we now know as Lieder eines fahrenden Gesellen. The second symphony uses Urlicht, actually sung, but also the scherzo is based on the famous fish sermon song from Des Knaben Wunderhorn without the text and without the voice. So if you know the Humoresken or Des Knaben Wunderhorn songs, you will hear lots of familiar things in his symphonies also, all the way up to the finale of the fourth symphony, after which he started to look for different kinds of material.